Hey guys, if you've been following along, you've invested over an hour of your life into the videos that do a really deep dive into the whole creative process. We took a project and we created a script from it, and then we skipped ahead and showed you the sound design. We did not show you the cinematography, but we did show you the editing process that brought the cinematography and the audio design together. Now we've got a finished film, and we're looking at the reflection that comes after this. This might be the most daunting part of the lesson for some of you if you're not used to writing 3-page papers. So today's lesson is just to look at how we can use the template to answer questions, speak really honestly about our experience, and then go back and add some research and fancy language to help us describe what some of these things are that we're looking at. So the first question says, why did you choose this role? You have to spend about 100 words. Now there's 3 films total. You're allowed around 1,500 words total for the whole thing. So each one of these film write-ups is going to be about 400 to 500 words. And you're going to be surprised at how fast they go. So my advice to you as you write about why you chose the role is to go back to the IB learner profile. Now I knew, as you heard me say in an earlier video, that I am not a music guy. I play ukulele, that's about it. So I put risk taker because to design a soundtrack was kind of a terrifying experience for me. And another area I thought I really stretched was my knowledge, because I had to learn about BandLab and I had to learn about cutting the audio and getting the beats per minute aligned. I had to figure all that out by research and kind of growing in my basic knowledge of how this stuff works. So I use those 2 words, and this one doesn't require any, it's just reflection. So here's what I wrote. This role of sound designer is one I was drawn to because I was afraid I couldn't really do it. I knew how to capture sound, but creating an original score to go with the film made me nervous about the upper limits of my abilities. In order for me to take on this risk, I knew that I would also need to grow in my knowledge of software applications that would allow me to download music loops, edit and layer them, ultimately bedding them down into our production. Now you may not know the term bedding down, and that's okay. Most of the language here is pretty basic. Now if I do a quick search on this, for my tool search says I just spent 91 words on that, and that's just about right. I really didn't pre-plan that. But you see, it's just a few sentences equals 100 words, which means we're only a few sentences away from being done. Now the next part is what inspired you. So hopefully as you began this exercise, you first looked at some montage sequences that were inspirational to you. Or if you were a cinematographer, you looked at a film that had a style that you wanted to emulate, or in my case, because I was doing the music, I was like, hey, if I'm going to do music, what do I want this to sound like? And I landed on one of my favorite directors, John Carpenter. Now, fair warning, I know John Carpenter's what he does. If you're starting from zero, you literally have no concept of anything in film, you might need to do a little more research. But for me, I was able to immediately go to John Carpenter. In fact, this was very authentic in that as I began and I was looking for loops to bring in, I wanted a synthesizer sound that was similar to John Carpenter's soundtracks. So what I did was I found 2 articles here. Now, one article talks about John Carpenter's ability to create soundtracks as well as being a director. And then the other article, now this is also shows my knowledge that you might not have. I happen to know that one of my favorite TV shows, Stranger Things, is inspired by, to a degree, John Carpenter. In fact, you can see references to his films as well as the soundtracks in the TV show. So I also looked up Stranger Things, inspired by John Carpenter, and this great article came up. So from these two articles, I grabbed my quotes. Now you see here, I did not do an MLA citation yet. I'm going to wait till I'm all done with everything before I build my big bibliography. But I definitely want to keep the links to where these things came from so that I can go back and build the bibliography. So here's what I wrote. You can see I almost doubled what I wrote in the first thing. So again, a lot of this just comes from your natural way of thinking. I love music, and I really have an appreciation for how music moves a piece. I am definitely drawn to certain sound styles. However, if I was only going to get one opportunity to emulate a movie sound, I knew it was going to be John Carpenter. Period. As film critic Alex Bauer points out, Carpenter's sound is, quote, synth-heavy and low-budget, unquote. At the same time, his scores are not overdone. For most of his scores, he's usually working with one or two people. Ross Duffer, one of the creators of Stranger Things, points out that emulating Carpenter, which he openly admits to, isn't just about grabbing the essence of the synthesizer sound. Says Duffer, I think really what it is, what connects all of Carpenter's films, even though tonally sometimes they're different, but what really connects them is that these very ordinary people are encountering these very extraordinary things, unquote. That idea speaks to the overall intention of Reflection. That's the name of the film. The film team wanted to show the struggles and opportunities in the COVID crisis through the perspective of someone who is ordinary living in the extraordinary. We also wanted optimism overlaid with a heavy coat of dread. Okay, so there's a lot to like here. In particular, what I want you to notice is that I pulled quotes directly. When you do that, you use quotation marks. That's going to make your job a lot easier rather than paraphrasing. Additionally, you give what's called in-text citation. So you don't just throw quotes in, you say things like, for example, film critic Alex Bauer says, and then put in his quote. And then when you introduce the Duffer quote, you would say, says Duffer, So you don't just put the quote in, plop it in. You have to segue into it with some language. The rest of this, though, shows how, basically the intention of this is, how are you inspired by an artist, and then how is that inspiration driving some of your intentions as a filmmaker? It's really important here you use that word intention, because you want to be able to say, for instance, in this film, we were trying to show the struggle and opportunity of the COVID experience. Therefore, we wanted to show positive and negative at the same time. All right, that was the goal. Okay, how many words is that? I know we started with 100. Let's see where we're at. So that was 200 words. I'm at 300. I only have 100 words left to really hit my goal, and I haven't even gotten into the artifacts. So I'm definitely over budget. That's good. You want to be fat to start. And when we get to the end of the year, when it's time to take our 3 reflections and edit them, the idea is to pare it down, throw things out, strip it down, make it really tight. So for me, you've heard I use things like, I'm definitely interested in, like we can get rid of words like definitely, and we can get rid of some of the fat in our sentences, but you don't want to step into the end of the year when it's time to take 2 weeks to make your portfolio great and only have 100 words when you have to turn that into 400. You really want to strike while the iron's hot, and you can talk about your experience and get in there and get that done. Okay, so now we come to the clip. Now it could be one of the things we cut is some of the clips, but the clips are pretty cool. You notice here we insert a box, and then in order to get the clip here, I used a free app called Awesome Screenshot and Screen Recorder, and I'll have that on our computers so that you can screen capture your image here. Now you might end up screen capturing Adobe Premiere, a shot of your edit. You might screen capture your script if you're writing as a script writer in this moment. For me, I picked screenshots of the film that had key moments of my audio embedded there. So here you see it's at the 18-second mark, and then let's see, where did I? Oh, okay. Up here is the reflection. So you have to answer, why did you select this artifact, to show how well you met your intentions. So again, my mind is already like, the intention of the film is to show the hope and dread of COVID. So what did I do with the audio to help bring that out? And then what did I do in my role specifically? So this speaks to the language of how you did it, how you edited, the word loop, the word band lab. You can throw all that stuff in here because this is what you did specifically in your role. If you were, this is a big one. Describe how you collaborated with others. Admittedly, you might go back and recreate some of these ideas, but essentially you want to be able to know what you did as it happened with your team and how you interacted and found strength through each other's contributions. And then you have to describe the degree to which your contribution to that artifact helped you realize the overall intention of the piece. So in other words, you have to say how good a job you think you did. That's a lot for 3 sentences, so that's why I'm definitely over. Let's read through what I did. Now you'll notice here, no citations. The citation piece is over. To evoke the dread and optimism of our piece, right away, I start with the intention. I'm particularly proud of the 18-second mark where the main character admits that COVID has transformed him. In our conversations as a team, collaboration, after the script was drafted, we agreed that this was a strong moment in terms of the ambiguity that is embedded in there. That might be a term you don't know. Ambiguity means we don't know whether he's full of hope or full of dread. We're not sure. Is our character transformed positively or transformed negatively? We did not want to give an easy answer to the viewer. Therefore, when I worked in Band Lab, I brought in a free synth loop called Ambix. This particular loop was designed at 60 beats per minute in a C minor chord. I liked the C minor chord synthesizer because I felt it matched tonally what I was trying to accomplish. I had previously began the soundtrack with a disturbing drum sequence. Just drums and the voiceover for our main character driving the first 18 seconds. Then, on the word transformation, we bring in this very peculiar synthesizer. As I talked to my group about this really cool transition, my cinematographer was inspired to find something really beautiful and transformational to juxtapose this otherworldly sound. Juxtapose is another fancy word. It means two things side by side that are meant to be considered together, juxtaposed. I want you to remember that word because that's a great word for these papers. You're juxtaposing the flowers, positive, with the C minor chord, negative. Got it? And it creates ambiguity. Am I supposed to feel good or bad? That's the idea, right? He decided on flowers. Our editor took it one step further by washing all the color out of the film in a filter called monochrome punch. The end result of all these contributions is meant to help us understand the hope and dread that is at the center of reflection. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of talking. If I check my word count, I'm at 250 words. So now I'm at 550 words total. So I'm definitely over, and I still have my second clip to go. So here we have clip 2, reflection, 42-second mark. I went and screen captured an image of myself here. This is the last scene. So then again, why did you pick the artifact? What did you do in your role? How did you collaborate with others? What was the overall the degree to which you guys were successful? Another artifact that showed my contribution to the film can be heard in the main character's voiceover. Along with the music, this was going to drive the tone. So tone is a good English word, a good word to use for analysis. Voiceover is a good word to use what we hear. That's a good technical term. And it's always good to be talking about your contribution. We decided that we wouldn't see the main character until the final frame of the scene. Admittedly, I made that up afterwards. I look back at it and I see that that isn't actually true. So I think this is one of the things I might edit out. The director chose to shoot this reveal at full frontal, the most intimate proxemic. Now that's a word you might not know. Proxemic is how engaged you are with the camera, your proximity to the camera. I like this choice because the piece is very confessional. When I worked with the actor, we chose a very confined space to reduce echo. We used a simple microphone that was on his phone. After doing one take, we listened back to it and I gave him some encouragement on areas where I thought he could sound more fragile. The last line, shown in clip 2, uses the old saying, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." But we decided to try the line without the word stronger at the recording because we thought that stronger suggested something too positive. When we brought it back to the team, everyone agreed this was a really good improvisational moment. The editor adds more punch to this moment by using a severe cut to black. I think that choice came in part because of my work recording the dialogue with the actor. So you'll notice here, you talk about how you collaborate, but you always got to make sure you're describing your process, not other people's process. So what the idea here is that the sound design inspired the edit. You got it? So you can talk about the edit, but you have to talk about how the sound design inspired those moments, okay? I think the overall tone of what we were trying to accomplish was successful. There was a little hiccup in the music because I'm still learning how to adeptly edit in BandLab, and you guys know that was true. Also, when we recorded the actor, there was a low hum that I could not get rid of, also true. But I'm really glad of how the team collaborated. It taught me in some ways how John Carpenter was successful. Our team was small, we had a very tight window of time, and we focused on the most important things to get done as a result of that. The end. Now the total word count here is 900. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let it sit at 900. It could be that my next reflection is going to be smaller. So I need a total of 1,500 words for 3 pieces. And I already know this one's really big. So I'm going to just keep it like it is, and we'll see how life evolves over the next couple of portfolio entries. But this whole thing took me about 45 minutes to do. So not an extraordinary amount of time, including the time it took me to capture the graphics and do the research, grab the quotes I like, and save the web links to build the bibliography at the end of the year. I hope this gives you some confidence. You see that I wrote double what you need to. So even if you can do half of this, you are in great shape to be very successful in your IB portfolio. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.